How's it going, everybody? I am Donut. We're reacting to Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 3, Episode 7, Chaos Theory. Which means we're probably getting into the monolith stuff and all that this episode. Trying to figure out what the pattern behind the seemingly randomness of it is. But Simmons seemed to have already had some theories. Fitz is running simulations, and the monolith does not seem to be able to be the route we're going to take. So I shouldn't say the monolith stuff we're going to do this episode, but we're going to find some way to get to the alien planet this episode, not through the monolith. That's my guess. Let's get into it. If you want to get the full length, check it out on the Patreon below for $4 a month. Oh, man, May cannot catch a fucking break. God damn, man, her life, just every time she gets a bit of happiness, every time she's at her peak of like, okay, it's normal again, I can be a person, and it just crumbles, she loses it all. In a worse way, both times now, where, well, I mean, 3 times technically if you want to talk about it like that. Like, so there's the Bahrain time, and then we can say like we can separate it as 6 months ago, and then what just happened at the end of this episode too. Like that's quite a bit of time between there as well. And she was just starting to get back to like not a point in which she was, I would say, like super duper happy. Like, not like how we saw her in Hawaii. She wasn't like happy because of how Andrew walked out on her, but she was getting back to a normal. She was getting back to as much of a normal as she was in like early season 2, before she had even like gone back and talked about the Bahrain stuff, where she was getting back to a normal. And yeah, so with just in such a short amount of time in her life, comparatively, she's had like these 3 big, like, just real fuck yous. Not really. Like the Andrew leaving her was a real, like, not talking to her. That felt like a real, fuck you directly towards her. But the other 2 were more just something, having to shoot them, having to be the one that's taking action in that situation to not, have it get out of control and everything like that. And I'm glad that, May has thought about the Bahrain situation enough to where she regretted it for quite a lot. Maybe not regretted it. I'm not exactly sure if she said she regretted it, but she has been struggling with it for a long time about whether it was the right thing to do or not. And, if that made her a bad person and whatever. And I'm glad to see that in this situation, almost pretty much the exact same situation again with someone who is even closer to her. She was willing to take the hard action again. I said I wasn't sure if I would trust May in the position of director of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I do think I absolutely would now. I think she has a lot of bad moments, but out of everybody, I think she's the one I trust. I don't trust her fully. She ain't perfect, but you ain't gonna get perfect. I think May's the closest we're gonna get. Now, I don't think the show is actually gonna go there or anything, but if they did I don't know if Coulson is still in the show way later. I was worried that Coulson wasn't going to be, or that was going to get killed in season 1, because I have no idea, how long in the show Coulson is. I assume he's in the show for all of it, but I don't know. If there's any characters that I assume make it through all the way to the last season and the last episode, I assume it would be Coulson and Daisy. I assume May as well, but the only ones I'm like, 90% on are Coulson and Daisy. But that's only 90%, still 10%. Maybe they could do something with Coulson. You never know, something could happen with somebody's actor and they have to, you never know. You never know. But yeah, so if something, does happen to Coulson, and something has to, somebody has to take over S.H.I.E.L.D., I think I would want it to be May. I think she's the only one who could truly handle it, and I think she would change S.H.I.E.L.D. into something a lot better than what it is. But yeah, she has her problems, of course. She has her issues, but she's now going like super aggressive with the ward side of things and everything, and putting some people in danger, but for the most part, I trust her. So we see how Andrew changed. It was not in the fish pills or anything like that. He was not he was already an Inhuman, but it was not just like a stumbling upon it randomly. He was looking into the old Inhumans. We had Jiang setting a trap for whoever was going to try and do this, which, as much as, fuck Jiang and everything like that, she was looking out for her people. At the very least, she was like this ledger with all the Inhumans and all this shit, and all this very bad information to get out to people that would want to kill them, and she booby trapped it to make sure that there would be an extra layer of security for her people, which if this seemed like a bad thing, but if you think about it, really, that was honestly a good thing that she did for them. Not for humans, but hey, maybe they shouldn't be trying to, the only reason we were looking into it is because of all this, stuff, when maybe we didn't need to actually go snooping in it. But I do love having the previous villain still having a lasting impact and everything. Obviously with Hydra, it's very easy to do that, but I'm glad for the villains that are not like Hydra, we are still getting lasting impact for those as well. And just, mention of them and everything. I would like to get some more mention with Hyde too, with Cal. That would be cool. But what time? We're still in the very beginning of season 3. I got some patience, okay? I know. But yeah, speaking of Cal, I do love how Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. portrays its monsters, like its monster characters. First with Cal, now with Lash, with the music and the sound design just being incredibly on point. It is beyond perfect. The stings when Andrew's expression changes to he'll be smiling and he'll slowly drop and you get that sting music. Oh, so goosebump inducing. It's perfect. Absolutely love it. Again, I going back to Lost again. I'm sorry, but Lost has an orchestra that has performed live, the Lost soundtrack, the instrumental soundtrack has just been performed live by the orchestra, just because it's it's such a good soundtrack by itself. And I agree with the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's the exact same way. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Such a fucking good soundtrack. I would absolutely love to go to a concert and just see somebody playing the soundtrack from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's so goddamn good. And I can imagine it's only gonna get better. But already the repeated uses of certain the leitmotifs of some characters and things like that is already just the monster stuff specific is what I wanted to bring up. All their monster creepy sound effects are, and again, sound design as well is also a huge thing. Lost did not have that great of sound design. The Smoke Monster had some cool sound design, but in general, aside from the Smoke Monster, Lost didn't really have any particularly special sound design or anything. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., however, holy shit, everything throughout the entire show, all of it. The fact that the icers have this unique sound that you don't even have to see if it is an icer gun, you just have to listen to that sound effect to know if they're using an icer or not. And so many various things like this that you can just tune into just by hearing the slight sound effect of it, or just in general the casual nature of anything, just Foley work in this series is really good too. Stuff you wouldn't be able to catch, but I'm only now realizing, just because of talking about sound effects, even the Foley stuff, even the regular sound effects have a bit of oomph, have a bit of pop to them. I don't know, whoever is doing the sound for the series needs a fucking raise. So let's talk about Andrew's mentality. So, he's talking about this being something that he is, it is forcing him to do. It is compelling him to do this, the Inhuman transformation, which the transformations are only temporary. We're never going to get a Inhuman that can transform back and back permanently. That is a temporary thing. Where's it going? In transforming, he's acting like there is this stronger drive towards killing them. But, well, I guess that's not true. He's just saying, once he transformed at all, once the first initial becoming an Inhuman happened, you're always an Inhuman. Once the Terrigenesis happened, he started feeling this compulsion. But this compulsion is, it's not even as strong as, an addiction. So it's I have a hard time feeling a lot of empathy for him because it's clear that it's not that strong of an impulse. He can control it. Even when he is in Lash form, he can control it. As we saw with the Daisy situation. And at the end of the situation, at the end of the episode here with May, he can stop himself. He only goes through with it because he also believes it. It's when he transformed his mind, I keep saying transformed, when he went through Terrigenesis, his mind, changed a bit as well as everything in him did, because you're all going through some physical changes, so his brain went through some physical changes as well, I assume, and then, that gives him there's a little bit of compulsion. There's a little bit of thing that says, go kill the Inhumans, go kill the Inhumans, go kill the Inhumans. But then he himself, as Andrew, as a person, as a human being who already existed, went, you know what? That is true. I'm not a fan of, what happened to me going through Terrigenesis, so thus, let me kill all them. It's very, like, Rosalind, right? It's very, what her, stupid fucking argument was, last episode with the cancer thing. Like, because I had a bad experience with my husband having cancer, thus all Inhumans now must hate being Inhumans, even though we have seen that the vast majority of Inhumans are perfectly happy being Inhumans. We have seen what Inhumans in series have we seen don't want to be Inhumans? Lash and Fry. That's it. Have we seen any others? Like, Jiayang was a supervillain, but she was understandable why she was a supervillain. Like, the way to go about it was not the way she went about it, but her feelings were totally understandable. But yeah, the for every Daisy Johnson there's a Lash out there is just certifiably incorrect. Like, we know for certain that is not the case. It is an insane margin how many, Daisy Johnsons there are versus how many Lashes there are. We'll get into it later, but sticking with Andrew specifically, not Rosalind, but sticking with Andrew specifically, I don't have a whole lot of empathy for somebody who is clearly wanting to do this themselves, and it's not a full. I do like that about the show, by the way, that they don't just spell out these answers for us. That almost everything in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. you really gotta be paying attention. You gotta check these fucking clues. You gotta, talking about the Banks fucking redirect and all that, or not redirect. What am I trying to say? What am I trying to say? I don't know. Making you think it's Banks. Red herring, but there's another word I was looking for. Can't think of it. Misdirection is I think what I was looking for. But yeah, with the whole the big clue that we have as to it's not being Banks is that Banks is on the train with Rosalind when we first see Lash. But when we first see Lash, of course, we just think it's some third-party person. We're just like, okay, new character, Lash, monster, whatever. So we don't think anything of it. We're not even looking for clues. Our mind is not in that mind frame at all. The next episode we bring up, Lash he can transform into somebody. Well, I'm saying the Lash can transform into a person, but a person is transforming into Lash. It's probably somebody we know. They have it could be somebody we know, and then we see it's Rosalind, which, if you've seen any amount of TV shows at all, your brain should immediately at that point go, okay, so it's not Rosalind, but who is it? Which then, of course, I'm immediately, thinking, well, because they're showing Rosalind, maybe they do want us to go down this line a little bit. Not exactly Rosalind, but so then if it's not Rosalind, it might be the ATCU, but so maybe it's Banks, and then you're trying to think about clues for why it would be Banks from that point forward. And you're not really thinking about, okay, well, what about in the past? You're mainly thinking about, at this point forward, let me look for clues, and they give you all these clues that it could be Banks. I really appreciate how strong the red herringness is in this series, but I also enjoy just how much actual clues they do give us. The stuff of Andrew was buying pain pills at the pharmacy. The lighter was on the ground before it hit the flame in the flashback, where he says in the what he tells them is completely the wrong information. Didn't catch that at all. But yeah, there's all these little and you know, we're talking about the Andrew thing, but just across the whole show in general from before, especially with the Ward stuff was a big example of that. But just in general, all the little being able to actually like guess this stuff, having the clues there before the reveal is really, really nice. Absolutely love that. Super digging it. And again, I love a show that does not give me the answers. I want them to imply the answer, and I want them to, you know, have a very strong implication for the answer, but I don't want them to just tell me the answer. I much prefer shows where I can try and, you know, work it out myself. So yeah, that's why I really enjoy talking about this Andrew thing, and like, clearly, you know, he does not have this actual full compulsion. But they don't have to, like, you know, tell us that outright. We've given plenty of situations to come to that conclusion ourselves. But at the same time, I do think that's why, you know, this series has arguably one of the worst fan bases I've seen. I'm sorry, but it is absolutely true. But I would say the exact same thing about Lost. I think Lost is absolutely one of the worst fan bases I have ever seen. I mean, case in point by everybody fucking, you know, everybody's idea of the ending of Lost being that they were dead the whole time. Nobody fucking understands it. Lost is one of the worst fan bases I've ever seen. S.H.I.E.L.D. is sadly one of the same. I'm reading comments a lot less just because, you know, I absolutely love this show, and I love a lot of the commenters. I have plenty of commenters that are very good, but the majority, yikers. But yeah, so I absolutely love the extremely morally gray nature of the series, and the making you come to your own conclusions, which is why also a lot of time, like, there's the amount of times in the comments I've had to correct somebody, and then they say like, oh yeah, I just rewatched the scene, you're right, I was wrong. Like, I'm the reactor here. How is it so many times I'm having to correct somebody else in the comments? So speaking of characters and all this being gray, Daisy used to be one of my favorite characters in this show. In this episode, very glad to see her arguing with Coulson again, but as I've been saying throughout this whole, you know, all these episodes and everything, she's got to start holding them more accountable. She's got to actually hold her ground more. Same with, like, Rosalind in this episode in the same way. Just voicing your concerns is not enough. You actually have to, you know, stick your ground and have the last word too. Like, every time Daisy never gets the last word, and it sucks. Like, I like her so much, and I like her viewpoints a lot, but it's hard to truly love her as a character when she is going to continue to be so passive. You know, I am going to be way more into the characters actually trying to do shit. It was really nice to see May go behind Coulson's back, by the way, and go behind all of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s back to deal with this Andrew situation, because she wasn't going to fucking wait, and she wasn't going to deal with all the, you know, what about this, what about that, blah, blah, blah. She just went in and did the right thing. Just like we used to. Yeah, I am glad to see Coulson trying to defend Daisy's point of view, like, to the president, to Rosalind, and all that. But, you know, her to recap, her view being that, you know, there may be some extremes, but the majority of Inhumans are no threat after their powers are under control. That, you know, it's the idea of, like, okay, S.H.I.E.L.D. and Rosalind and the ATCU are constantly bringing up these fucking what-if strawman scenarios that haven't happened. Like, that's the big thing. We keep bringing up all this shit that hasn't happened as an excuse to do horrible shit. And it's that, like, I think I have not articulated why I hate S.H.I.E.L.D. as an organization so much, and I think that is really it. I think that is the best way I can put it, and Coulson specifically as well. And again, to clear the air, really quick, because let's talk about Fury too. Fury is a similar way. Coulson, I think, is a very interesting character. I like him a lot as a character. I think, you know, his mentality and his personality are horrible, awful people, but I think it's cool because a lot of times you can have somebody like that who is a pretty fucking awful person in a position like this, and there are other people who are looking up to them and everything, and, like, you know, seeing Fitz's relationship with him and seeing Daisy's relationship with him is interesting, because it is like real life, where, you know, it's like having a family member, or, like, you know, a shitty dad or something, where it's just like, some people are just have this almost like Stockholm syndrome sort of relationship, and I think it's very fascinating. And I think they do a good job of portraying that. Fury, on the other hand, I think is not a interesting character. I don't think he's a well-written character. He feels like a random character from a buddy cop movie thrown into a superhero universe. And so I want to make the distinction. Like, it's not that I, because I dislike Coulson as a person, I dislike him as a character. I say this so often, but I feel like I have to say it again and 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 again. I don't dislike Coulson as a character. I just like Fury as a character, and I'm not afraid of saying that. I think Fury is a shittily written character. But yeah, I think Coulson is a very, very well written character. Yeah, but so Rosalind talking about the continuing to be the most hateable villain in the show so far, talking about the. Daisy's like, oh, so you're just afraid of Inhumans. And she's like, yeah, of course I'm afraid of Inhumans. Like, that is an argument and all. What are you talking about? If you fear them, like, you have no reason to fear them if you thought that they were innocent. If you fear them, you're expecting them to be bad people. Like, go fuck yourself. You have no reason to be afraid of them at all. You're only afraid of them because you're extremely, like, the whole last season with Coulson being, having the alien blood inside her, and that is an unprecedented situation. It's like having somebody with a disease we've never seen before, right? But the Inhumans are not that. We know what it's like. We have, the data. We know the what and the. Like, we don't have a cure for it. We should just be trying to understand the Terrigenesis and all that, which we pretty much do. We get it, But my, saying that Coulson shouldn't be a leader because of this alien blood thing is very different from the Inhumans thing. If there was other people like Coulson, then sure. But there's not, so it's unprecedented, and it's hard to say what the hell would happen, And furthermore, we have seen that Coulson did have an actual, like, you want to talk about the fucking Lash situation? Coulson was way worse than Lash. Like, he had an actual, like, Lash is Andrew's a worse person. That's not what I'm saying, but I'm saying the situation was worse. Because Coulson was not, and it was not a situation where you would be able to talk him out of it. Like, maybe they could have a Lash, they weren't able to here, but they tried to. Because there is a person inside there, there's a mind inside there that is making decisions. But Coulson was being taken over by this actual compelling thing that was, controlling basically all of his actions. And, that's a way worse situation. And there's nothing to say that won't happen again. In a meta sense, we know it probably won't, but there's nothing to really say that it won't. We have no idea. There's no precedent. So, yeah, Rosalind can absolutely go fuck herself. She's the, most hateable villain so far. Because it's like, yeah, there may be villains who have done worse actions, but in terms of hateableness, oh yeah, Rosalind takes the cake. And Coulson is rocketing up there too. Like, once a season, we have to have Coulson be the ultimate evil. And yeah, now just getting in bed with the enemy again. I mean, not again, but in terms of not getting with the enemy again, but talking about Coulson getting with Rosalind again. Weird way I phrased that, but I hope you understand what I meant. But yeah, she just, oh man, what? I can't get over that fucking, oh, I'm afraid of him. Of course I'm afraid of him. It's natural to be afraid of him. It is, with Daisy being so young, it is such a shame seeing her so easily manipulated by everybody around her. I get it. I fully get it. I understand it. Which is why I can't, dislike her. I still like her as a person. She's got some issues too. She uses aggression and her powers very, very, easily. She's willing to just jump straight to it. They've all got issues. They could all learn. But Daisy and May, I think, are the two that are, like, the most morally upstanding. And, I don't know where I was going with any of this, but just, that's it. That's all I want to say. They're the most morally upstanding. That's it, in a sense. So, we now have Lincoln. But Lincoln called in Mac, of all people. First of all, not to put Daisy in harm's way, which is sweet. Aw. but also because, Mac is the only one that he knows for sure isn't Lash. That was a really cool, like, I didn't even think about that connection, but, like, yeah, he, Daisy, and Mac all follow that thing, so he knows for sure it's not any of them. So, that's, yeah, cool seeing that, like, he, assumingly, will probably have a bit of a rivalry with Mac, maybe, but I do think the people he's going to be closest to in S.H.I.E.L.D. are going to be Mac and Daisy. I feel like Link is probably not going to get along very well with Fitz or Simmons or any of the lab people, just because of, them being lab people, being scientists, and he's probably not going to be, he is a doctor, yes, but, or a nurse, but, that doesn't mean that he's going to be totally fine with it. I'm sure he's going to have some I think they do this, I think they do that. He's going to have some prejudice against them. I'm sure. Very glad to see that Link is going to be a part of the main cast. Super duper excited about that. As I said, I think he's my favorite character so far. Or favorite character currently. I said I wasn't sure about how he could forgive S.H.I.E.L.D. And, I don't... I think this is a bit, in a writing sense, this feels a bit forced for him to come aboard S.H.I.E.L.D. right now already, but at the same time, I get it. He was working with them mainly for the Lash situation. I think he's going to still stick around, but I think that's really the thing, is just, it was the circumstances that sort of required it. But I hope that, again, with him here, he can hold Coulson more accountable. That's all I can keep saying. With every new person we get, I hope they can hold Coulson more accountable. They never really seem to, but, again, we put Mac in charge of the alien artifacts like it has mattered at all? Because, what has putting Mac in charge of that shit mattered in any way whatsoever? Like, the whole point was, Mac is going to be extremely, hard-pressed on not fucking with it and everything like that, but then it's like, Coulson's like, hey, Mac, can you bring the monolith to this, castle? And Mac's just like, sure, whatever, not that I think, glad we all did it because we got Simmons back and all that shit, but from a, perspective of what was the point of doing that in a writing sense, I don't know. We keep acting like these characters are going to be holding Coulson accountable when they absolutely are not. That's the only thing I have a problem with in the writing of this show, is acting like things are gonna change when they never do. So, what else? My leg is just falling asleep, so I'm trying to not focus on that, but, Fitz this episode acting like a real big baby. God damn, Fitz. The fact that he was even remotely upset about the situation. Holy shit. Fitz, how much of a bitch can you be? It is extreme cringe. And I hate using that word, but fuck, dude. Fitz, this is the most fucking bitch boy thing I've ever seen. I love Fitz, but man, in one episode he went from yeah, I like Fitz a lot to, man, Fitz is a real big bitch boy. Simmons I still absolutely love, but at the same time, at this point, I don't give a rat's ass about the relationship aspect of, or the romantic aspect of Simmons' character at all. I like everything else about it in a similar way. I like everything else about Fitz's character, but the Fitz and Simmons relationship, and now even the Simmons and Will, triangle thing that's going on and all that, I actively dislike it. I am so sick of this rom-com anime bullshit. I hate the not, what am I trying to say? Not confessing trope. I absolutely love the shit that we have going on with Bobby and Hunter. Because Fitz and Simmons is so infuriating. Every time we think we're going somewhere with it, we go nowhere with it. And I say I have a lot of patience. I have a lot of patience for some things. I have no patience for romance. Because it's the same within real life. If they get together at this point, I don't think in a show sense they could get with anybody else and it not feel weird, but there's just no way that the two of them could date at this point and it not be a disaster. Like, realistically, in a show sense, of course, you know, in a meta sense, whatever, they could do whatever the hell they want with the writing. But in a realistic sense, there's no way these two could start dating now and it not be the most disastrous shit in the world. They are so bad for each other. God damn. I'm not sure I've ever seen two people worse for each other. I mean, maybe, well, no, I'll just say maybe Coulson and Roslin, but I guess they are great for each other. Two villains. So, we have the Cocoon, which was just straight up in the middle of New York, this place where they are training, you know, Inhumans and people with powers. In the middle of New York! That seems like it's a disaster waiting to happen, as, you know, speaking of which. Real bad idea, but still cool to see more S.H.I.E.L.D. locations, as always. So Joey does want to be a part of S.H.I.E.L.D. You know, he does not want, you know, he said like he wants to use his construction as like a construction area and stuff. Really cool concept, really dope. But at the end there, he did seem like he wants to be on Daisy's, you know, team. So, you know, I assumed that was going to be the case, but now it seems like we pretty much have a confirmation that he's going to be on there. But yeah, I do love the idea of him using his powers for construction in the same way that we got, you know, Lincoln using his cool electric powers a couple episodes ago, and now this episode we got Daisy using hers to stop Roslin from falling. Really love seeing the non-combat uses of the powers. Really hope we continue to get more. Absolutely dig it. You know, glad that I brought that up last episode. They immediately gave me more of it. Oh, thank you very much. Loving it. Loving it. So, Bobby, as we just talked about Bobby Hunter, glad they're laying off the ward situation and, you know, trying to take it easy, chill. Hunter has still crossed way too many lines to be forgiven at this point, but I appreciate both of their steps in the right direction, right? You gotta appreciate steps in the right direction. You gotta give them some leeway. The old dude that we got a couple episodes ago related to Werner and Ward and all that, I did not remember him. Thank you for the comment, though. He was from the Winter Soldier. He was on the World Council. I kind of just assumed that they got everyone on the council, but apparently not. He does seem to be still in some, you know, involved in some huge organizations and everything, assumingly. Considering he was going to be at the meeting. But I don't know if he was going to secretly be at the meeting, you know, if he was just going to show up, or if he is, you know, the head of some organization or whatever. Like, how would they not know? Maybe he uses a face mask or something? I don't know. But, either way, he does seem to be a pretty big deal. He probably even bigger than Strucker, honestly. Not, well, I was going to say not more dangerous than Strucker, but that's not true, because Strucker was a real bitch. So, yeah, he is quite a big threat. And, he said that, you know, you shouldn't just be going after revenge. You should be going after, you know, something grander. But, first of all, I actually, you know, I've talked about it before, but I absolutely love the, you know, Hydra this season, them being just for revenge, them not having this, like, we want to take over the world, or we want to, you know, we want money and power, or, you know, any of that shit. They ain't going for that shit. They're specifically not about that anymore. Like, more is like making sure they ain't about that anymore. It is, at this point, exclusively a, I want to take down S.H.I.E.L.D. thing, which is cool, because, you know, I never thought we would get to a point in the series where I, you know, don't really have much of a reason to, like, dislike Hydra. Like, you know, the Andrew situation was a really good way to make me, you know, dislike, you know, that was a really good hate moment. But, for the most part, they're not really getting innocents involved. They're pretty much exclusively going after. They're pretty much fucking with people who were already in Hydra, or, you know, someone like Werner who can suck a fucking dick because he's using his Nazi granddad's fucking money. I don't give a shit about Werner's life. He can go fuck himself. You know, or you know, they're not dealing with actual civilians up until very recently. But so I thought that was a really cool concept for Hydra, you know. Not what I would have ever expected them to do with them. And so, yeah. He has, I thought that he was just going after Bobby, specifically. That was my interpretation from, the end of last season. But no, it doesn't seem like he's going specifically after Bobby. It does seem like he's going just... He wants to actually take down all of S.H.I.E.L.D. And so he is going for Coulson specifically, I guess. And, so, what was I gonna say about that? Yeah, this guy saying that they want to do a grander scale, but he seems to just, be fine with what Ward wants. Like, he didn't really say what he wanted to do, and with the way he was talking about the end there, it did seem like he agreed with Ward's plan. So maybe he just also, like me, thought that Ward was specifically going after one person, and Ward, when Ward said he wants to take down all of Hydra, and his plan does make sense. If you take down Coulson, I don't think S.H.I.E.L.D. is going to be able to come back again. So maybe once he revealed that plan, then old dude, which I've got to figure out what his name is, if I've gotten it, maybe that changed his mind. But either way, the meeting is happening soon. We're gonna lead Coulson there. As I said, I think if Coulson is taken out, I don't think anybody will be able to bring S.H.I.E.L.D. back the way it is. Maybe they'll bring back a different version of S.H.I.E.L.D. or something like that, and they might call it something different. But because the show is called Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., in a meta sense, I'm pretty sure Coulson's not going to get taken out because, again, I think he's the only one who can do this, and he's the only one who's going to call it Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So, he's the only one who's going to call them Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I guess. But, yeah, I would certainly like to see S.H.I.E.L.D. fall, yeah, but I don't... The show's certainly not going to do that, and, I wouldn't want Hydra to be the ones to do it, right? Because as much as I want S.H.I.E.L.D. to fall, I don't want Hydra to be around in the wake and not have anyone to check Hydra. So, as much as I don't like S.H.I.E.L.D., this is not the way I want S.H.I.E.L.D. to go down. So, I want to make that distinction too, because whatever, but you get what I'm trying to say. And even if Coulson was taken out, and again, somebody else did take over, if it wasn't May, like let's imagine it wasn't May. I think May would do a good job. Daisy, I don't think, I was going to say like Daisy might do a good job, but no, I don't think Daisy would do a good job as director of S.H.I.E.L.D. She is not that good in a leadership position as we're seeing. She's already being, adjusting to it hard. Maybe after a long time she'd be very good at it and extremely good at it, but yeah, I think it would take a long time for her to get used to it, and during that period would not be good. But at the same time, I don't think that anybody that would take over S.H.I.E.L.D. and run it as S.H.I.E.L.D., I don't think anybody would. But if they did, I don't think anybody could possibly be worse than Fury or Coulson. So, like, if, that's what I'm worried about. If they take out Coulson, S.H.I.E.L.D. will fall, then nobody will be there to check Hydra. If Hydra did take out S.H.I.E.L.D. and then somebody took out Coulson and then somebody else, took up that role or whatever, I would not like to see how bad that's gonna, impact the characters emotionally, but I do think for the world as a whole, that would probably be better. But again, I don't think that anybody would be able to run S.H.I.E.L.D. as S.H.I.E.L.D. But Coulson. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have to say about this episode. Great effects this episode with Lash and all that. Again, Lash was so fucking cool as a villain. It sucks to see Andrew getting fucking jail prisoned. I hope to God they don't try and, I don't know, man. Just I had no empathy for Andrew up until they put him in the jail prison, and it's like, man, I wouldn't wish that on my worst fucking enemy, man. This is just, but yeah, I hope we can get some more, like, fucking, we now have Trip gone, now Andrew's in a fucking tank, like, Mac is the only black character we have left in this entire show, so I hope that's not, gonna be a reoccurring fucking theme like Walking Dead, but, it's fucking network television show, I fucking know how it goes, but yeah, anything else I have to say? No. Just again, I want to end off on I think one of the coolest aspects of this episode was bringing back the Jiang thing, and I hope we continue to do that. Making old villains that have died, especially villains that were only in one season or something, because like Cal was brought up a lot throughout. I guess then you could say Jiang was also brought up a lot through season 1, so maybe that whatever. But either way, the fact that these villains are dying and still having a big impact and everything, really cool. Loving to see it. cannot wait to see more of it as the series continues on. So, see you guys for that. Until then, get the fuck out of here.